Yeah, my name is Austin Seals. I'm part of the MSA class that graduated in 2020. I'm currently a biostatistician too, officially at Wake Forest Baptist Health in Winston-Salem. I work as part of the COVID research project mainly here at Wake Forest for the past year. I put on, I guess, a lot of different hats. I didn't know what to expect to go into this particular job because I didn't have much experience in the academic or clinical research field going into Wake Forest. So I guess I would handle a lot of different things, have a bunch of different caps I put on from day to day. Anything from doing actual analyses to actually doing more kind of management things. We're working on how to get data from disparate sources. And so like in the COVID research project, Wake Forest is partnered with several other sites across the East Coast and some in the Deep South, mainly from Mississippi and Louisiana. So there's a multi-site project we have going. And we're also partnered with Oracle Corporation, where they built this cool app that helps us collect data from participants in the study. And so spend a lot of my day actually working with Oracle and working with our database managers and engineers here at Wake Forest to get data into a usable format so we can analyze it later on and share it with principal investigators on the study, as well as develop manuscripts and papers. It's having a lot of impact, I believe. It actually came out with probably a few months ago in April. We had a paper that had to do with estimating seroprevalence or antibody prevalence in participants in the study, and we're using that as kind of a gauge for potential actual infection rate or ever in North Carolina. And so it actually, one of the North Carolina senators was actually citing most of our paper and the data we had collected and using that to inform decisions on whether we should open things back up, relax masking mandates and things like that. So from day one, a lot of people had eyes on what we were doing here at Wake. And so a lot of pressure, but also kind of cool to be able to work on a project that's that impactful, from day one. Not at all, honestly. Going into the MSA program, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. It was mainly something where I just wanted to do something that I knew that I would make a contribution from, the day I stepped into the door. Day one, I feel like I want to be somewhere where I feel like I'm needed and that I will contribute pretty early on, and also, learn new things and be exposed to things I haven't before and grow personally. So I can definitely say I've grown a lot over the past year at Wake. So that's an interesting question because the world of healthcare is kind of like its own thing in regards to, I guess, data science and analytics, because the way the data is collected is so different from what you might expect in the non-healthcare setting, like a finance setting or something like that. It has its own unique challenges working with that type of data as far as just the cleanliness of it. And a lot of healthcare data is very unstructured and very kind of anecdotal and things like that. So it's not very structured data, so that can be tough to work with. There's also just the nature of the different technologies they have to use to collect the data itself. And so you have like things like they call Epic, which is it's a tool that collects EMR data or EHR data. And so that's its own technology that has its own ecosystem of terminology and other tools that you have to learn how to use. Think of it kind of like, I don't know, if we're trying to use Amazon Web Services for the first time. Kind of like it's its own ecosystem, its own knowledge base. So there's a lot of different tools like that relate to electronic medical record data and patient data. And so getting to acclimate to that type of those tools really was a challenge. I'm still doing it today because there's such a vast amount of knowledge you need to know to really master all those different types of things. And from just a general analysis or statistical viewpoint, I think the main thing is this working with a lot of different other statisticians or people who are been at Wake Forest and other sites being exposed to their knowledge and other techniques and methods of doing things. And so learning different methods I never even heard of, coming out of the Institute. Like I didn't know that was possible, that we could actually do something like that. And so being able to work with them in that type of way is also been very good for me. It's been definitely a getting used to process. So like when I first started, I was remote for most of, I guess, June/July, which was, I didn't mind it that much actually. I like kind of being in my own space and just kind of being able to kind of do what I want when I want, Then I got kind of tired of it because I just felt like I needed to, sometimes there's a communication gap when you're talking to, certain people. And you like, this would be a lot easier to get things done or more efficient if we were just in person, where we could just talk, every day. So eventually, around August, September, I morphed into the kind of this hybrid, work from home, work from the office, maybe 3-2 ratio, maybe 3 days in the office, 2 days at home type of thing, which I've really liked doing over the past year. It started out in early May, before I officially started. It was very kind of surreal because I was just on part like these meetings. I didn't really know anybody, on the meetings. I was just like, getting used to all the different parts of the study, and other different departments in Wake Forest, and trying to get to know people in a remote setting, which can be kind of difficult. For some challenges, I think this the main thing for me was just how to adequately manage your time and prioritize things, I guess, would also be lumped into that. Especially when you get towards, I guess, the latter half of fall semester into the spring semester, when you start thinking about, employers and employer sessions and doing interviews, all like that, but you still have your class or academic responsibilities and then your practicum responsibilities. So you have all those three things kind of culminating at one time. And so you want to adequately, parse out time for each one of those things. You don't want to let anything just go by the wayside. And so just figuring out a way to manage your time, and also being willing to reach out to different resources at the Institute, I think is also another thing as well. That kind of goes into that, because I think I don't think you can go through a whole year through the program without needing some help from somebody. So I think that's important to know, because there's plenty of resources like you and everybody else at the Institute that are really, really helpful and to help make your life a little bit easier and your experience a lot better. So just being able to reach out to those people whenever possible, because they're there for you. Probably the funnest thing to me is probably being on the soccer team we had, and in the spring. I was really itching to play some soccer. I played it all through my youth, if you want to call that, all the way through high school, I should say. And I really miss playing it a lot. And so we put a team together in the spring, and we played together probably for a couple of months on the weekdays on NC State's campus. It was part of I think was it the grad school league? I can't remember, but either way, it was fun. And so being part of that was probably my favorite part. I would say one is detailed, um, adaptive, or willing to adapt, just curious. Right now, I would say Python, but working in this environment that Wake Up, they're pretty, technology agnostic, as they say. And so I can work in any language I want to, really, but mostly Python. Messy. I like, in general, the going to see different musical artists, or like the different musical acts to come here. I had, growing up, I didn't have a chance to see many people from where I'm from, Mississippi. So maybe going to different musical things, museums. I like going to museums around North Carolina, the weather in general, just the outdoors. So probably a group out of Austin, Texas called the Black Pumas. Um, kind of like a kind of old school feel to them, R&B style group. They're really good, and so I've been listening to them a lot. Tried to learn how to learn or start taking lessons in some type of coding language, whether it's R, Python, or SAS. If you don't have any experience in that before starting a program out, definitely try to get some type of experience just taking lessons in those. It'll help you out in the long run and make your life a lot easier. And the other thing would probably just be to keep an open mind when going out through the program. Just be receptive to everything, what all the professors are telling you, all the knowledge they're imparting on you. Keep an open mind.